God bless you. Good morning from South America. I'm about going to the church and this word came into my spirit, and I believe it's going to be a blessing to somebody, especially our young ministers and our upcoming ministers. In John chapter 6 and verse 5, Jesus saw the multitude coming up to him, and he said to Philip, "Where can we get bread, food, to be able to satisfy this great multitude?" Now, there are two things I want you to observe here. There were two possibilities for every minister to have opted for. Two possibilities, and the first is either to go for compassion or to go for consumption. Jesus opted for compassion. He saw this multitude and said, "What can I do?" The first thing was what he can offer them. What can I do for them? Now, that compassion was the trigger he pulled to connect him to the resources of the energy that his Father can supply, that heaven can supply. Compassion is the trigger that connects you to the resources of heaven. Now, someone else would have calculated like Judas. Wow, we have over 20,000 people here. Imagine if each person gives 1,000. Consumption. Now, once you switch to the trigger of consumption, you limit yourself. You cannot be an oracle of God. The highest you can do is to operate within the confines of the gift you have received from God. That gift is for you, is your possession. But to represent God as an oracle, like Peter said in 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 11, "If any man minister, let him minister an oracle of God. Let him minister according to the ability that God supplies." If you want to go beyond the gift you possess as a person, to tap into the resources of heaven and the energy that God supplies, the right trigger to pull is the trigger of compassion. That was the trigger Jesus pulled. And of course, you know the miracle that happened there. With just 5 loaves of bread and 2 fishes, he fed over 20,000 people. Now, for you to access that dimension, that territorial kind of dimension, that territorial kind of anointing, the right trigger to pull is the trigger of compassion. As a young minister, don't be controlled by avarice, by greed. Imagine an evangelist who is called, and then in a meeting, instead of raising souls, his duty is to raise fund. That evangelist has lost his calling. And of course, he's no longer an evangelist, but a herbalist. We are not called to raise fund. I'm not saying we can raise special offering. It is circumstantial. When the need for that comes, we do that. But that is not our major goal, and focus should be what we can do for the people. Jesus looked at the multitude, not what he can siphon from them, not what he can get from them, not the consumption mentality, but the release mentality. What can we do? That is compassion. And that compassion pulled the trigger. That was the trigger he pulled to command that dimension of the supernatural. If you want your ministration to be under the cover of the energy, under the influence of the energy that God supplies, compassion should be the right trigger you pull for every of your ministration, not consumption. Oh, we have a large crowd. This is an opportunity. Offerings, special offerings should not be raised because there's an opportunity. You see, an opportunity for that. But when the circumstance warrants for that, we do it. And the people of God will give willingly. But what should control the heart of every minister should be compassion. How that God will move in the midst of the people, heal the people, save the people, deliver the people. Once that is your priority, you have been able to access the portals of the possibilities of heaven. Now let this guide you. This be your focus. Don't be a minister that ministers under the compelling force of consumption, but under the compelling force of compassion. Then you will see God move tremendously in your life. Guide this, guard it in your heart. It will help you. God bless you.